Luis Barrera is a gripping storyteller who's unveiling the tumultuous journey of Nicholas Santiago, a rebellious soldier in the journey to freedom, path to World War III, where duty clashes with family and the aftermath reveals a world plunged into darkness and chaos. And Luis is with us here. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm excellent, thank you. So, this book is, of course, called The Journey to Freedom, Path to World War III, which is a gripping tale. So, can you just give us a brief overview of the book?
Basically, the book is about a Mexican-American soldier that is telling his story of how he personally became to be the way he is now, because his daughter was murdered by drug cartels over in Mexico. And how he basically just starts to lose it and he starts to take revenge for them. But not only that, but the book also has it has a plot twist also because it's not just the story that he's telling about his daughter, and how he lost his ex-wife and his fiance, but it also takes place in a futuristic world, in a post-apocalyptic world, because a new country that was developing a new kind of weapon basically shuts down about 90% of the world's electronics. So basically the whole world had to go back to the dark ages and live without electronics and try to survive any way they could.
And you mentioned about the protagonist having his own significant challenges in the book. So how did you approach developing such a complex character?
A lot of the stuff that happens to my character actually happened to me in real life. So when I was going to college and basically just studying whatever I could and just trying to gain more knowledge, my teacher once told me, he's like, well, if you're going to pass this reading exam, you need to give me something personal. And if you can, the first rule of thumb for writing is write what you know.
And was that quite difficult to write about things that you've experienced, or was it actually quite cathartic?
Some was easy. A lot of the stuff that I put in for Nicholas's character while he was growing up in his teenage years and his youth years was kind of hard because it's stuff that I actually had to remember for myself. And it's just stuff that I just didn't want to remember. But, you have to make a certain sacrifice in order for you to, keep going forward.
And were there any particular rewarding moments during the overall writing of the book?
Yeah, I actually didn't think I was going to be able to finish the book. I had so many doubts in myself. But what pushed me to go forward after stopping writing for about 2 years was that when my mom had passed away, I had deleted the whole entire book.
Wow.
And then I think like 2 years after my mom had passed away, I was going through the closet, saw the laptop, and I was cleaning it out. And I was like, I thought I deleted the book. And I looked, it was somehow there.
Oh, wow.
And so what ended up happening was I actually started reading the book from the very beginning. And then I just picked it up right there where I was. Like, I think I went 3 days straight with no sleep writing. And even my boss had called me. He was like, hey, are you okay? You coming to work? And I was like, oh, yeah, like, sorry, I don't even know what day it is.
Oh, wow. When you were sort of going back and rediscovering the book, did you change any elements of the bits that you'd already written?
I changed a few things here and there because I was thinking in my head, like, what was I thinking when I wrote this? I think it sounds better if I just rewrite it this way.
Yeah.
So there was a few things that I did rewrite. Not everything, but there was a few things, maybe certain scenarios, try to make them more realistic. Because it just sounded a little too fantasy, and the book and his my book's character's life had to be realistic. It has to be some way, somehow, where people can actually relate to him.
If you didn't find the laptop with the saved book on it, do you think you would ever have gone back to it and maybe just started again, or was it maybe meant to be that you found it?
Actually, if I've never would have found the laptop and if the book really wasn't there, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't.
In the book, there are several themes like surviving in a post-apocalyptic world. So, what messages or themes were you hoping to convey to the readers through Nicholas's journey?
Because of the fact that the show The Walking Dead, is, a lot of people go and watch that show and be like, oh, I can do that. I can survive, in zombie worlds. And I keep thinking like, you probably could because it's fantasy, you could make up all these kinds of scenarios. But if you put a real life perspective of just surviving with no electronics and no tools, it makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So that was the only reason why I actually wanted to make the book more realistic. There's no running water. You have to actually go to the river, grab the water, boil it. You have to clean it. There's more process than just going to the river and just getting water and drinking it. It's a long process to survive with no technology.
How do you think the exploration that you do of family dynamics and the fatherly instinct add depth to the story?
Well, I have 3 daughters myself. So, I mean, my fatherly instincts are always set on a very, very high level, and they're always on, so that's another reason why Nicholas is so hell-bent on the point that, he has to protect his daughters. He has to make sure that they're always good, they're always alive, and they always have everything that they need, even in a world of no power and no technology.
Yeah. And you mentioned the world has no power, no technology. How did you go about creating that setting?
It's like I said, everybody always watches the show The Walking Dead, and there's always so many post-apocalyptic kind of worlds. But I think like my biggest inspiration was probably the Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
Not the new one that came out, the original ones, the one with Mel Gibson. I mean, those were a big inspiration for me. I was like, what would happen if we lived in an actual world where you actually had to survive?
In that post-apocalyptic setting, was there a kind of reflection on the current world that you were trying to create, perhaps?
So the reflection is that people are too they're too comfortable with the technology nowadays. It's you can't walk down the street without holding your phone and looking at it.
Yeah.
I personally had to walk around the grocery store and people actually bump into me while they're looking down on their phone, and they'll tell me like, hey, watch where you're going. I'm like, excuse me, I wasn't even on my phone. You're the one that's on your phone. So people are too reliant on technology. They're too obsessed with it. So that was kind of the reflection that I wanted. I was like, you know what? I don't want technology in this book. Like, I want everybody to be, the way I was when I was growing up, in my great grandparents' ranch in Mexico. I want there to be no technology. I want everything to go back to square one.
Yeah. Do you think the world is better for that in the book? Because we say post-apocalyptic, and that's kind of generally seen as a negative thing, because it's usually when the world is there's nothing left and it's all bad. But when there's no technology, I guess there's positives.
Yeah, the positive is that people actually get to see people as humans and not just things that they use, and they actually see that people exist are out there. You have people that start reading books. You have people that start farming. They go fishing. They have markets. They go out and travel. They don't have to sit in their house anymore. They actually get to walk around and travel. There's no cars, so they actually have to walk everywhere, and in my book, Nicholas has to walk everywhere in what he calls the Shattered Union. So it takes him almost like 30, 40 days to walk from one place from the south of what is the United States all the way up to the north part of the United States. And I had to do a lot of accounting and a lot of thinking and a lot of math where, you walk 10 hours, you rest maybe 2, and then you sleep for 8, and then you got to take accountability, sleeping, eating and everything. So it was more hours that I had to add. So the good thing is that yeah, people actually have to go out nowadays and look at the world, see the sun, because there's thanks to COVID, there's too many introverts.
Yes.
And before that, there was everybody always outside camping, going to parks. Like, people nowadays just don't want to be outside anymore.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Do you think the book will maybe give people a wake-up call and want to go outside? Because if they're sitting inside reading a book, obviously they're not outside.
Right. So book 1 might be that little spark that they will give, but I think book 2 will actually give them that notion to actually step outside, because I put so many survival tactics in book 2. And I'm pretty sure if people were to read that, they would be like, hey, well, you know what? I actually want to try that. I want to see if the magnifying glass actually does this,
Well, you mentioned book 2. Can you give us a bit of a glimpse as to what we can expect in the future book?
Book 2 has a lot of walking, a lot of survival tactics, and a little bit more background on him and my character and the way he travels around, and why he is so proficient with in martial arts and in swordsmanship.
Without giving away too much, obviously, were there any specific aspects of the storyline or characters in book 1 that you intentionally left kind of open-ended in order to continue in book 2?
Yeah. So basically, the one open end that I keep living in book 1 and 2 is the fact that he wants to right things when he was sent on a suicide mission. He was meant to fail, and the culprit that sent him on that suicide mission is still alive. Yeah. So that is what is driving him to keep going forward.
And the book explores Mexican culture. Mexican culture plays a significant part in it. So how did you approach incorporating these cultural elements into the storyline?
Well, because I'm Mexican myself,
yeah.
And, my parents, they came from Mexico. I was the first child born in the United States, but they always told me, while you were born in the United States, you are Mexican.
Yeah.
So you must learn both cultures. That way so you can survive in both sides. So that's what Nicholas is. He is just another Mexican trying to survive in a world where, he does the best that he can to, move forward.
Was it important for you to accurately represent Mexican culture in it?
Yes, it was very, very important to me. Because Hollywood seems to, portray us as just typical drug dealers, cartels, we're farm workers, we're babysitters, we're housekeepers, but we're so much more than that. We also come over here, we work hard, the ones that are born here like me, we go to the military, we try to represent the country and our people. And for me, this was a very important book because I see so many shows and I see so many movies and I read so many books, and there's almost 0% of Mexican heroes. So I was like, I want this guy to be the first Mexican hero. It's like, even when I went to go get my book published in this company over here in Fort Worth, the lady had told me, she was like, well, maybe you should make the character black or white because there's really no Mexican heroes. I was like, well, my character's going to be the first. And that's what I want.
That's quite shocking, really, that it's the first Mexican hero. And there needs to be a first, and you need to challenge the stereotypes. Otherwise, you'll always end up with Mexicans just being typecast, won't you?
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel that readers from all sorts of different cultural backgrounds, whether they're Mexican or not, will connect with all the different themes that are presented in The Journey to Freedom?
My character's team is a diverse culture of, friends. AB is white, but he grew up, in a black neighborhood. You got Marcus. Marcus is black, and he grew up in a very prestigious family. You got Lawrence. Lawrence is the first Jamaican-born American, from his family coming from Jamaica. These were all friends of mine in the military, and so I had to put them in there because we were just a large, vast, of diverse culture friends, that we just kept learning about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if there was one message overall that you'd want readers to take away from book one, what would it be?
The message would be, you can really overcome your traumas. I mean, all the traumas that Nicholas has gone through, I went through. It takes time, but you really can overcome and become stronger and a better person than what you were before and after your traumas.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is book one, which is out now. It's called The Journey to Freedom, Path to World War III. When can we expect book two to come out? Is there a timescale for that yet?
Oh, no, book two is already out. I just had it published, I think, in July of this year. But I just finished book three in October, and that one won't be published until August 7th, 2024. It's my mom's birthday, so it's a very special day for me.
That's very exciting. And in the meantime, where are we able to find books one and two for now?
They are actually on Amazon.com. You have to look up The Journey to Freedom, Path to World War III. I've already set it up where it is a book series. So the book series link will actually set you up with all the books that are on there.
Brilliant. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks. I really appreciate you.